I probably need to use this. Hello. Good evening, Brighton. All right. We're the last thing between this and a evening of food and drink, right? Exciting. All right. If we don't get excitement out of you, it may not happen. All right. And I'm going to really mess with the people doing recording. Is there a box I can't move beyond? About here? Well, no, I think you can follow me, right? If I move over here? All right. It goes both ways. I get that. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you. It's been a great day here at MacAD UK. Very exciting. It's great to see people. This is the second year in person after a little pause. And it's really great to see everybody back here. Man, the weather out there, much nicer than last year. All right. And I think this is pretty fantastic weather for Brighton, right? Yeah. So what's the... Ben, you can help me. What's the term for someone who lives in Brighton? You're Brightonian? You're Brightonese? Brightonian. Okay, thank you. I want to make sure we're using the correct demonym. All right, so Brightonians think this is great weather. I think this is great weather. I'm from Minneapolis, so I probably, maybe not British weather, but certainly not great. All right, but with that, you don't want to talk about me. We've got 4 wonderful panelists up here who are not organized by order, I don't think, alphabetical.
What does order mean?
Like, what does important mean?
Like, it could be smartest to dumbest. It could be
your words, not mine.
It could be by height, tallest to shortest. What order are we thinking?
So you can see already the tone of maybe this panel that we will take as we go forward here. So we've got 4 distinguished panelists. You've got myself. We're going to do a little round of introductions, but real quick, if you have the Whova app, which you should have the Whova app, if you do have the Whova app, you've probably had a number of notifications today. You have one more of those in there saying you can support or you can add questions into this. So I've got this up at the front. If you ask something overly rude, I can hide it. All right, so just keep that in mind. That's a new feature this year from last year. I don't remember that last year. And then we'll take those questions, so that way I don't have to run around with the mic and hand it off to people so you can ask there. And we've got 4 fantastic panelists that are going to be have wonderful and intelligent answers to each of these questions. We may wander around some. So with that, I'll start from left to right. Raymond, do you want to kick it off a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah, okay. My name is Raymond, and I come from Cambridge. It's like a 3 hours train from Cambridge. So my company works on so many different AI projects. And why I'm here, because I'm very interested in telling you about how we can use M1, M2, or even iPad to run AI models, which is quite amazing and better than some of the hardware like NVIDIA, and something I want to tell you more about this. But if you have any question about AI, running the ChatGPT on M1 or M2, you can, yeah, we can share more about this. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Right, and we have Catriona.
Hi, so my name is Catriona McDonald. I work at the City of Glasgow College. I work mostly in end-user computing, so generally when users have complaints, it's me that listens to them. And I'm doing a talk tomorrow about users, updates, and compliance, and kind of the culture behind that kind of thing, because that's always, my previous background was in nursing, so culture has always been kind of an interesting topic within IT and user-centric computing. So if you got any questions about that, happy to answer.
Wonderful. Greg?
My name is Greg Neagle. I wrote Monkey. I work for Walt Disney Animation Studios. Any other questions people want to know about me? I'm 5'6".
Favorite tree?
Favorite tree, a larch.
That's a unique choice.
It's from a Monty Python sketch, so I don't even know what a larch is.
Making it all the more unique. All right, moving on from Greg to Charles.
I'm Charles Edge, cryptid.com. I've written some books about what we all do in the room. I'm pretty boring otherwise. Yeah.
Wonderful. So those are our panelists. Big round of applause.
Joel, You didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Joel. All right. So where do we start? How far back did the two of you go? Cryptid.com, that's been a while. Monkey's been a while.
Yeah.
AFP 548.
Yeah.
Probably before then?
2000.
When you say how far back do you go, do you mean like I was
No,
born in-
like when was the first Monkey release?
Oh, the first Monkey release was in 2000. Well, what does a release mean? We started in 2008. Let's just say that.
Okay. And Cryptid.com was born.
97 or 98.
Oh. AFP 540 was like 98, 99. So we're probably a little bit behind you.
We're old.
We're old. All right. Having enough of that, so I'm Joel. Nomad. Who's still using it? What's a release? Exactly. Nomad login. All right, we got a little pocket of that's cool. Let's go. Dep Notify.
Golden Triangle.
Golden Triangle, Cylinder of Destiny. All right. Now we're getting off track. Okay, cool. So with that, we're your panelists. You get to ask us questions. The first one here, if you had an opportunity to advise Apple to prioritize one thing of your choosing, the answer cannot be software update because we know that's going to be the answer for most people is going to be software update. If you were here last year, we had a long chat about software update and maybe what was good or bad about it. So we're not going to dwell on that again because frankly, I don't think much has changed, which is a little bit on the unfortunate.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah, well, yeah. It certainly hasn't gotten better. So with that, one thing to prioritize that is not software update for Apple, we'll take it in any order. Wow.
I was going to defer because I'm always happy to
Have an opinion. Yeah. And Raymond, how let's see, what's the right question? How involved in the Apple ecosystem are you? With AI, it's typically not being run on Apple systems.
Yes. So basically, the support of the running the AI models is very limited. Yeah, we see all the Apple documentation on the internet, but somehow we are not able to reproduce certain kind of experiments that appear in the WWDC from time to time.
Oh, interesting.
And some of the issues might be related to lack of community support.
Yep.
Because in this area, AI, mostly NVIDIA, Conquer, or taking the lead in the whole market, like CUDA, programming, Python libraries, or tailor-made or customized for NVIDIA product. However, for Apple, M1 or M2, basically, from my research, it's the fastest processor or the most cost-effective processor neural engine to run AI models. For example, you can get a Mac Mini like 649 pounds, and you can get very similar performance like NVIDIA, half of the NVIDIA V100, Tesla V100. So that's why that is the things that I got it very interesting, or we want to see if we can exploit the processor power. We'll see if we can harness the power from M1 and M2.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I think community support right here is for that AI technology implementation is quite limited.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this, and this is something I'm curious. I don't do a huge amount of AI except have nightmares.
Yeah.
And my question is, you already mentioned the neural engine. Apple's been shipping a neural engine, which is a machine learning chip, correct?
Yep.
Has anybody but Apple done much with that?
I heard from the market that there are some other companies like Google, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. They actually harness the power of M1, M2, but it is a kind of news that we cannot speak publicly. But I don't know. But anyway.
You heard it here first.
5 nanometer technology is quite amazing. And the speed, including the speed and the power, the power consumption is very low, the speed is very fast, and if you compare the number of transistor, like the transistor for calculating FP32, that is a very specific floating point operations, it seems like Apple can consistently outperform in terms of cost effectiveness. I actually have a chart upload in the article section in the Volvo app. And actually, we've done a lot of research to see if we can export the power. So from my perspective, I started implementations using iPad A12 Bionic processor.
Sure.
Like a 3 years product. At that time, it's already outperformed our GTX 1080 Ti processor. Yeah, at that time, it's like a 3 years old product.
Sure.
So that's why it seems so lucrative if you are able to harness the power. So yeah, the most interesting thing right now is because of the introduction of the ChatGPT, people are very interested in running their own LLM model, large language model. And it turns out the open source LLM can be executed in M1 or M2 processor right now. So you may have your own ChatGPT, private ChatGPT, with very similar performance.
Wonderful.
So using, but the community support is
still there.
Is still very limited, but it's growing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can talk to yourself with your own local chat
But will,
LLM model.
but will Joel GPT have the same?
We're not here to announce products, Charles.
Yeah.
We're not here to announce products. All right, anybody else with thoughts on what should Apple prioritize? It's a very general question.
I can pick up where you left off, whether it's harnessing the power of the machine learning cores or on the chips, or whether it's how to weaponize extensions and apps, making sure that everything has an API, and making sure that those APIs are documented so we can actually write code against them and have expected results.
Little things.
Is probably the biggest one that I'd say. But we all have our own shared or lived and shared experiences, and so I've spent the last couple of years delving into that, so that would, of course, taint my response. Since software update's not an allowed answer.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else?
No, sorry, mine's more about software updates.
If you're more than welcome, we've avoided it for this long. So what would you like Apple to prioritize about software update?
More about the feedback, because I find that when you say, for example, we use Jumpcloud in, say, at Glasgow College, and then when you push out the update, it just kind of goes out into the ether, and from that point, you can't really tell if it's actually
Schrodinger's cat of updates.
Yeah. So it's like, is it updating? Is it not? Just more kind of general feedback, more verbosity of actually what's happening, because then we can understand if something's going wrong, it's easier to diagnose the issue as someone that kind of works with the technical side of things.
Sure. Great.
Don't crash other daemons.
Yeah.
Don't crash other things.
Prioritize is the hard one for me because there's just so many things.
Opportunity rich.
Right. But I have to agree with Charles in that I think documentation of their both hardware and software platforms has been not as good as it once was. And you could argue it's because they're moving really fast and they just don't have time to go back and write down what they did. Or they're doing it on purpose to prevent people from competing. Or, and this is one of my pet theories, is that if they don't document how something is supposed to behave, then you can't file a bug on it because that might be the expected behavior.
Get out of jail free card.
Exactly.
Not for you.
For Apple.
For Apple.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do it that way. Really?
Wonderful. Oh, you were about to add something?
No.
All right. The questions move the more you vote. So if you really want to mess with me, start voting on random questions and they pop up into the list.
And then unvoting so it falls down. And then
All right. A couple of questions about me, which we'll leave alone for the moment. On to things, so we had kind of a light opener. There's something that I think all of us on the panel are pretty passionate about and would like to see bigger changes be made. And so that question is, how do events like this create greater diversity in the speaker lineup? I don't think it's been lost on a lot of folks that it's not an incredibly diverse, even panel that we have here. We'd 100% like to see more of that, and we know we need to keep working on that. So, question, how do we create more diversity?
Well, no, please.
No, it's, well, coming from kind of my point of view, whereas like as I moved from a very female-dominated career path to a very male-dominated career path, and there's varying different attitudes. I think with guys, there's a lot more confidence. With females, we're more kind of introspective. We kind of put ourselves down a lot quicker and say, right, is this, we kind of look at things kind of more logically, and something like that is like, could I actually go on a stage and talk to hundreds of people? It's not an easy thing to do. So some people just like, but for me, I was like, yeah, why not? What's the worst that can happen? I could get stage fright, and I'm like in the middle of the audience going, oh shit, what do I do? But sometimes I would say for like those who are considering like females, go for it, because the worst thing that can happen is you fail and you learn from that failure. If you're kind of putting yourself down, you're your own worst enemy. And also for guys, I think it's for the other side is be more encouraging, give more opportunities. If you see something that's actually like often missed, and you see someone that might actually be a better candidate, that is, if they've got the talent for it, see if they want to do it instead, or even if they like, it's always a difficult question, but I find it's support everyone. I think if you've got a very supportive environment, you'll probably find that diversity will eventually take hold.
Let's hope. Anyone else?
We were talking about this topic before we even came up here, and it's hard to have a diverse speaking group when the industry itself is not diverse, right? You know, if this big claw comes down at random and just plucks people out of the audience here, it's probably going to pick up a white male, 9 times out of 10, just looking around the audience. So we've got to work on getting the industry more diverse, and then I think the speakers will come out of that. Of course, there's also the opposite thing, which is if speakers help attract people into the industry, right? If somebody that's in an underrepresented group of people, they go to a conference and they see nobody that looks like them, especially see nobody that looks like them up on the stage, they may be like, this maybe isn't the career for me, I want to go do something else. So you've got both ends that we have to work on. And I think those of us who have had the honor and the opportunity and the privilege to present and do this sort of thing, we can do a better job of finding other people that we work with and helping develop them as leaders and speakers. And I think that's our responsibility to do that.
Agreed. Charles, Raymond?
I mean, in general, I feel like I don't feel like it's my place as someone who doesn't represent a diverse background to get up and tell people how to be more diverse. Having said that, all of these are great suggestions. I think noting Greg's inversion there of, having not just looking at it as a supply chain problem kind of, but also looking at it as, well, it creates the supply chain. Having people that look like you up there is very helpful. I mean, we see it on the Mac Admins podcast too, where it's like, we try to have as varied a lineup as possible. And diversity can mean a lot of things. It does, it can, you want people represented who bring a lot of different qualities to the table. And it makes for a more innovative kind of end result, I think. But we can always do better. If we go 5 or 6 episodes with people who all look identically, basically, on the other end of our Zooms, then my spidey sense starts to tingle, and I start to be like, maybe we should mix this up a little bit, you know? So, I don't know. I don't feel like it's really my place to try to, you know, guide that, but I would like to be an ally and help.
Sure.
You know.
Yep. I'm Asian, yeah, so diversity, okay. And I think just a joke, maybe next time we should invite ChatGPT to
answer that question.
As a
Wow.
AI
Now you're
diversity.
playing with fire. What is your level of confidence of that answer
It's
not
okay.
being offensive?
I think it's okay.
A hallucination.
A hallucination. All right. Where is Joel's famous bright jacket? Not everything made it into the bag on my way over here. I apologize for that. I did go look for a bright jacket. I couldn't find one. So that's on me. I apologize for that. All right. So I can. And in the order, how much Joel likes panel members. Well, Charles is the last.
I'm the furthest.
Partially because he's the furthest, partially because he calls me up and asks questions about what's the difference between a framework and a library, and expects a particularly...
And then corrects you.
and then corrects me, yes. No, you're wrong. Now that you've answered, I don't agree. Catriona and Raymond I've just met, so they're very high on the list right now. They seem very nice people.
So the longer you know us, the less you like us.
Well, Greg refused the job offer.
You never offered that
Well,
job.
all right. I just wanted him to say that. There's some history there that we'll go over maybe later on tonight. All right. What discontinued Apple technology framework or product would you like to see make a comeback, and why?
Can we invert that and say the one we don't want to make a comeback?
Well, if we don't have any offerings on what we do want to see make a comeback, I mean, this may mean that Apple's made good choices about what to discontinue. There's somebody from the audience is... NetBoot. NetBoot.
It's called restore mode.
No, we're not taking that one. Anything else from the audience that we're going to ignore? Apple Talk? No. Profile Manager? No. We are not going to do, what was before Profile Manager?
Workgroup manager?
Workgroup Manager. No, it was before Workgroup Manager.
At ease?
At ease, yes. Yeah. No, we're not taking those. Those should die.
Back in the NetOctopus era?
Back in the NetOctopus era. Anything else from the audience that you were hoping we would have said? What? HyperCard. HyperCard did have some cool.
It's called FileMaker.
Yeah, really.
HyperCard. All right, so that's the closest thing we've got to, I think, a reasonable answer here. ResEdit.
Well, you can init.
Yeah, you're just being cheeky. All right. Anything else from the audience before we get to what we would rather have invert the question? And
I think we did that. This whole thing has been inverting the question. Not a single thing.
fair enough. Apple is perfect. Everything that they've delivered has been fantastic.
File creator types.
File creator types. Those caused some trouble.
How about
They were nice until they weren't nice. And then you had Control Option boot the system, right? And reset desktop databases and things. Yeah, so you don't remember that part. That part's in the back of the brain. You've forgotten that part. I'm marking that question as answered, and we're moving on. What would the panel like to see added to declarative device management? DDM, not DDR.
Anything?
Sure.
Anything useful? No, that's what I would like them to add. Anything.
Wow, getting spicy.
I think a framework to import third-party data into the JSON that's traded back and forth if we're someday maybe not going to be able to have our own persistent daemons in that same kind of context. Like if I'm using an OS query, I'd like to take that JSON and pipeline it back over that secure channel.
Sure.
You know, that would, anything that reduces the number of other binaries that I have to run persistently would be useful.